All right. Greetings, mortals. I is Munkee, and I is playing Fallout 4. That reminded me of something else. I wanted to do a video. There's lots of tricks and tips, and there's tons of videos on the game so far, and I'm gonna do another one because I want to. So yeah. Anyways, what I want to do though is I want to show you a little bit about the settlement system and a neat little thing that I've found. So I'm outside Diamond City right now, and a little while ago, when I spawned into here, I use for one of my main bases a settlement that you discover near Diamond City called Hangman's Alley. When I discovered it, I actually was walking into it going, oh, I really hope this is a settlement. It looks so cool. Because it was like a raider base, but it was built kind of like a settlement. So it's one of my favorites. It's just an alley in between two buildings. And I'm going through the building next to it because essentially what you see here is a building that these super mutants spawn. I'd say about 1 in 3 times I load. Oh, that was too crap. About 1 in 3 times I load into Hangman's Alley. They're always trying to take over Diamond City, and they never do it. And every once in a while, cook that. With them spawns a legendary. On normal difficulty, I've seen 2 spawn here at once. But really, what it is this chest and the loot in the room right down here give you some nice little ammo. But also, this entire group of guys right here has a chance to be legendary. And the reason I'm talking about it is because if you go north along the rooftops, so you come up top, you just use this little thing right here, and you just hop from rooftop to rooftop, here to here, and then I'm coming over to here. And when I look down over here, boom, I'm at Hangman's Alley. So what I've done, and somebody will probably come up with a much easier or better placement of a ladder or something, but where these roofs are is maybe about half of a wall from the ceiling, from the top of the build area here. So essentially what I've been doing is I hop up onto these stairs, and I hop up onto here, and I try and jump up onto there. I can usually do it in about 3 jumps. I'm going to try today and find an easier way to do it. But essentially, when you spawn into Hangman's Alley, you can either just run around the corner and then just work your way up the building and then rooftop back to your main base, or just hop rooftops over there and check for a legendary. So every time you get home, there's a chance there's a legendary sitting over there for you, and it's a pretty early game spawn, so they won't be too tough, and you get a chance to see if you might get something. So that's kind of cool. And it does kind of, if you load into here and you don't like a lot of gunfire, then maybe Hangman's Alley isn't your main settlement. But a couple things on settlements. Placing things. You'll notice some settlements have things you can't and things you can move. So essentially what I've done is you'll notice with the door open, I can't get in or out of my settlement. I gotta jump, which I do. But the NPCs don't, and enemies don't really jump. So raiders are coming down the alley, they got friggin' 2 machine guns, spotlight in their face, and a dude up there shooting at them. And then they open the door, and then they're just, we're just stuck right here, and we're still in the line of fire, and all the settlers can line up right here and just mow us down. So the other side, which has an entrance when you get here, but fortunately all of these areas right here are movable. So I just scooted this out to make a line, so they have to face off here under turret fire. And then I just blocked off that door right there because I don't need 2 entrances. So yeah, basically what I've done is I've made it so that they're stopped in. Now what I've done at other ones is brought the doors in. I would have here, but you can't really, I could block this off completely, but people are still going to line up there. So what I've done is just at other ones, I've brought the door in more, and then in front of the door, utilizing the short walls. And when I say short walls, there's 2 kinds of walls. There's the junk fence, which are really tall, and then there's the wire fence, which are really short. They're, they're like picket fence, keep your Brahmin in place. Personally, I put my Brahmins in the wall. That's where they look good. Phil. Poor Phil. Anyway, so what I do is I use these because they snap together all neat and nice, and I build like Disneyland line queues for people. So they gotta like go around and then make a left and then make a right. It takes them like 2 minutes to get to the entrance of the settlement, and if I could do it here, it would be really awesome because this is just perfect. It'd be perfect to line them up in here, and they just gotta walk over here and then walk around over here, and the whole time they're under turret fire. So I like to build little tower defense nooks and things into some of the settlements. It kind of automates them, and the reason I do that is because up at the top, the happiness rating. These guys are unhappy. I didn't help them last time they got attacked because I was over encumbered and I was doing the long walk home and I didn't get here in time. My turrets were not damaged. Like, they didn't lose the fight, but I didn't help them, so I failed the mission. And I think that's why their happiness is going down, even though it hasn't actually gone down. So I don't know. The way I understand it is per person, like every person needs 1 unit of food. Every planted piece of food is half a unit of food. So you need 2 food to make 1 food to make 1 person happy. Water, 1 to 1, I believe. I'm not really sure. Beds, I always just try and keep a couple extra beds so that if a couple people show up, they can get in. I believe the number of settlers you can have is based on your base charisma, 2 per charisma. If you're doing charisma, that's the only way to do supply lines, which this guy's being lazy. I could be like, yo, I want you to make sure that my junk is available at this settlement. And then he goes, okay. And he just takes a Brahmin, loads it up. Hopefully Phil, get him out of the damn wall. And he just walks over there. And then what's cool is all of my junk, which is the stuff you use, has the components in the middle. That's the stuff that you use to manufacture your walls and your lights and everything. So this is all the junk that I've dumped into this specific workshop. However, all the junk from all my workshops is available here because I have all of the workshops that have junk in them linked by supply lines. So when you discover a new settlement, if you need to build on it and you don't have any stuff, don't go back to one settlement and get stuff out of the workshop. If you have the supply lines perk, I believe it's the local leader first point. And you can get that pretty early on. I think it's only like 4 or 5 charisma needed. But basically, if you have that, you can make sure that your junk is at all of the places you go. And if you discover a new one, just fast travel to one you have discovered with a spare guy and tell him to be the supply line to the new one. I don't recommend doing that to all of them, because if you tell 9 people from your 10 people at Sanctuary to be supply lines, then there's nobody to farm the food, and then nobody's going to be happy. So I kind of tell 1 from each to be the one to the next one. And if you want to undo that, you got to go to where you sent that guy and wait for him to arrive and then tell him to quit it. You can also tell settlers to go from one place to another. So if you just want to send 4 settlers over to, like, Covenant, I personally like to keep Covenant stocked with only pristine clothed settlers and only the prettiest people. So my Covenant is it's a very, very pleasant place. I kept the theme. But basically, I sent them all over there. I don't have a beacon there because I don't want random people showing up. I don't want to have to send them away. That's mean. I just don't want to have to be mean. So essentially, the supply lines and sending people are 2 different things, but it allows you to transfer your junk and your people around. But you'll notice also I have aid here. Carrots and gourds. Well, carrots and gourds are what I have planted here. So the people are actually, what they're not eating, they're stuffing into the workshop. So, for instance, if you want adhesive, adhesive is a manufacturable thing. So you just need corn, mute fruit, potatoes, and purified water. So if you plant all 3 of those things at a settlement and just have way more than the people need, they'll start loading up your workshop. So when you get back, you might be able to make 2 or 3 vegetable starches, which are like 5 adhesive a pop. So it's really handy to overplant and to really work your crops. A crop will not fruit, so you can't pick it unless somebody is working it. It will fruit the first time, I believe, or at least that seems to be the trend. But then it will not fruit afterwards. First, after you pick it, for it to regrow, somebody's got to be working it. Placing stuff, just there's, if you want to know all the ins and outs of placing stuff, there's tons of videos on it. So if I want to rotate something, I click. Snapping objects are very rotation dependent. Now, if I want to place this out there, but I don't want to run out there, I can hold the placement key and then move it out there. But the thing is, if I move this to a place I can't put it, I can't bring it back. Well, wait, I can on this one. Wow, that's the first one I've ever found that does that. Let's see if this one does. Hey, the fences do. So junk fences are a little notorious for being bad with that. So if I want to place this junk fence, I hold the placement button, I can move it around. If I scroll, I can move it up. If I move it too far over or in, and then, oh no. Oh, it's way up. There's a wall on the ceiling. There's a wall on the ceiling. So yeah, it's kind of wonky. Another thing is the arrow keys help you quickly select between things. If you hold Shift, WASD will act as the arrow keys. However, every once in a while it'll stop working and you gotta escape out and then hold down V to access your workshop again to reset it, because I don't know why, but this is just the Fallout PC ports are just legendarily bad. Like, they've built a legend on terrible mouse acceleration and movement. I gotta say, moving around, this is the best port of all the Fallout games. I haven't played to finish all of them, but I've put at least 6 to 12 hours into all the Fallout games. Tactics on, so Tactics 3, Vegas, and 4. This is the one I've played the most, probably because of settlements, though I did look, and this looks a lot like the feature that was a mod for New Vegas, so I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. The snap system is very similar to like Rust and stuff like that, so they did tighten up the borders on the objects though, so overlap is key. Like, these type of walls that stick out a little bit will not work up against certain objects or near the edge of your build zone. Another thing is sometimes a wall just won't go on a location. It's really weird, so you got to use half walls and whatever. But yeah, that's essentially it. Hangman's Alley has a spawn near it. It's really handy. If you like to snipe, there's another one in the far south at a wastewater facility that you can just snipe a ship full of raiders from your front door. So there's some cool ones you can do a little bit of, shooting, testing your guns as you mod them from your settlement. But the settlement system is really cool. Running wires, there is a distance a wire can travel. It will not droop beyond a certain point. You can save the wires and just put the copper back into your workshop by hitting tab on them. The other thing is these little nodes put out a like AoE bubble. Like, if you think of them as surrounded by a bubble, that bubble powers any non-requirement electrical device. And I call a non-requirement, see how this requires power but no amount of it? And then you'll see over here that this requires power and 2 of it. So this has to be wired, but this does not. So that was a kind of handy thing I found. The AoE, the range on that bubble is not tremendously big, so you will need to run some nodes. A good way to reduce the amount of parts you're using, especially when it comes to power, because copper and ceramic, oh man, I just break down every bathtub you see. So essentially all this stuff, like, this takes wood. It takes probably more of the more important materials than these do. So if you have objects like, I see a lot of people, they'll put power poles all along the street in Sanctuary. And yeah, that's cool, but I mean, that's 4 copper, that's 3 ceramic. Look at all that steel and 1 rubber. Rubber? Pretty hard to find. So instead of that, I just use the little nodes which take a lot less, and I run power from house to house. I use existing structures. Before you go through tearing down some trees at different settlements, make sure those trees wouldn't make good power poles, because they will take attachments. It's a pretty cool little thing. Just about everything within the zone can either be broken down, built upon, or snapped to. I have to say the settlement system is really cool. I would like the ability to claim settlements. Like, you can totally tell some of these raider places were built with some system like the settlement system. I'd like the ability to lay claim, just plant a flag, and then maybe they can lay claim to one of mine I haven't put people at or something. I think that would be pretty cool to have a settlement claiming or territory claiming mechanic in here. Because you definitely, with the tower defense type stuff and the missions to help people when they get attacked, it's pretty cool. How did you get through here? That's not right. Phil, who is that? Why'd you let them in? Okay, whatever. But anyways, that's pretty much my tips on the settlement. Keep an eye on your missions. If you check your missions every once in a while, or keep an eye on the upper left of your screen, it'll tell you when settlements are being attacked. Not helping them is a good way to make them start being unhappy, and then I think I'm gonna have to raise the defense number here a little bit. Even though it's functional, I don't think it's satisfactory since I didn't help them last time. So, anyways, I is Munkee. This is Fallout 4, and happy hunting.